All right. Hey, everybody. Hope you're having a great Friday. Welcome to 365 Deep Dive. We had a nice chat going on this afternoon already. And Andy's got his audio working, so I think we're about ready to go over here. You guys missed out. We had some audio snafu earlier today. So how's it going, Andy?
Well, now that the audio is working, much better. I'm doing good, man. How are you?
Yeah, good, man. I'm doing good. We were having fun in the chat. I see John's here. John, we need to congratulate John Ernst. He landed a new job that he just started recently. So me and him were talking back and forth offline. And congratulations, dude. Tom's here. Renee's
Congratulations.
here. Yeah. Uh, Tom is Tom's on vacation starting today, so he's kicking off his vacation by joining us to talk about Microsoft stuff. So good dedication. Thanks, man. I'm taking 2 weeks off next week and the week after. I'll be back on July 17th, so that'll be really nice.
Going anywhere fun?
We're gonna go for a few days down southern Missouri, like northern Arkansas kind of area, where we rented a yurt off Airbnb. So it's like a big circular dome tent thing, but it still has like air conditioning and a kitchen and all that stuff. But so we'll be glamping for a few days down
Glamping.
there.
Very
Yeah, do
nice.
some trout fishing. Yeah, it'll be nice. How about you? You going anywhere for the 4th of
Uh,
July?
so taking the week off and having a staycation. The boys and I
Nice.
and my wife, we're gonna live it up here. We got a couple of really nice pools in the neighborhood, and there's some things we want to
Mm-hmm.
do kind of around town. We've got a lake beach. We're gonna go
Nice.
there, visit the grandparents. So not a whole lot of sitting around over the next
Mm-hmm.
week. So, but nice little staycation.
Yeah. Cool. Good. Well, so without further ado, I think we'll bring our little loop workspace on screen and start talking about what we're going to chat about today. Um, so we've got an exciting topic this afternoon. Exciting for me because I'm hoping that we'll be able to solve an issue that I've been having for a while, which is how do we notify people about new videos in Microsoft Stream? So this is like I've been working on this for months and then didn't work on it at all for a while. But the idea is somebody came to me. They've got a podcast that they run through their stream channel, and they were looking for like you used to have like the follow button in Stream Classic, and that didn't honestly I didn't really do much of anything from my perspective. But they wanted like a way that people could actually subscribe to something and get notified rather than having to like maybe see like a Yammer post somewhere. So I've been looking at like different options there, and me and Andy we were talking about, hey, this would make a great deep dive topic as we could talk about different notification options kind of in the vein of Microsoft Stream, but further than that into like how do we automate it and do some stuff with Power Automate. So I think this will be one that I'll be leaning a lot more on your expertise, Andy, because I know Power Automate enough to be dangerous. I can break some things pretty good, but we'll see how it goes with creating something that's actually functional. Um, but yeah, I think this will be a really cool topic. And yesterday you had a user group session where you talked about like a primer on doing messaging from Power Automate, using Power Automate with 365 like users and groups, things like that. So that got me kind of prepped for today, I think.
Yeah, when we started talking about this topic, prep a little while back, I had a conference
Mm-hmm.
coming up, the 365 EduCon, and
Mm-hmm.
I do a full day workshop there on Power Apps and Power Automate for business process automation.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I do that workshop, I'm really energized about the capabilities of Power Automate, especially as I have conversations with people throughout the week and they're asking questions and there's kind of follow up conversation around that. So I'm always like super keen to like go and build everything with Power Automate. And
Mm-hmm.
then work hits and I get distracted. And so we started talking about this, and like it was,
Yeah.
I kept that enthusiasm and that excitement up for it. And as we
Mm-hmm.
were getting the notes ready, I was like, oh, my user group needs presenter this month, and this is a cool topic that we're not going to have time to roll into our deep dive today. So I'll do that as a standoff, where for the user group, and you and I think a few other people that are on here today joined in. But basically,
Hmm.
I just wanted to talk about and get it out of my head all the different ways that we can use Power Automate actions to interact with a list of users, a SharePoint group of users, a Microsoft 365 group full of users, or even a Microsoft team, and a Viva Engage / Yammer community. So I was able to get that out of my head and kind of work through some of that. But it was inspired by
Yeah.
building the subscription list, because the list has to come from somewhere. Where are we getting the people? And so it was a way to get some of that content out and keep the enthusiasm high and keep riding that wave from the conference. So this was all timely. It's like the planets aligned on this one.
Cool. Yeah, I just put the link to that for you guys to check out. After you're done watching this video, of course. But yeah, I threw that in the chat if you want to check it out. That's the Charlotte area SharePoint users group. They've got monthly meetings that they have, and I was able to attend one yesterday. So the stars aligned. I was able to hang out with you guys live. So that was cool.
Yeah, appreciate you joining in and
Awesome.
sharing that link. Everybody, if you don't mind, check it out. Hit subscribe while you're there. We got
Yeah.
a lot of good content from a lot of great presenters over the last few years. There's some really good stuff there. So hope you check that out and explore it.
Yeah. So we've got kind of three main sections here that I thought we could fill out together between me, Andy, and you guys in the chat to talk about before we just dive straight into Power Automate and I show you about where I'm at and where I've kind of need to like get over the hump. I thought maybe let's back up a little bit and talk about some considerations around how you publish your videos, because that can lead into how you want to notify people about new videos in Microsoft Stream. And then we'll dive into some of those, notification options, like what do we have out there that like people could subscribe to, we could push out manually, we could push out automatically. And then we'll get into like, how do we create some kind of self-service flow, if you will. Like what I envision is a button to subscribe. And then once I subscribe, I get the new videos, based off of however they're published. So we've got the skeleton here. I thought we would go through and talk about easy, medium, and hard versions of all of these topics to try to lay out, what we feel is the easiest to the hardest, honestly, when it comes to some of these topics. So starting out first and talking about like how we publish our videos and where we want to put the videos. From my perspective, like we're talking about videos that are part of communications, right? It's not just something that I created that I want to like ad hoc share over to somebody and like, hey, check out my cool video. Like that stuff, you could do that out of OneDrive pretty much. You could throw it in your OneDrive, share it out, do something quick. What I'm talking about with a subscribe process is these are like bigger than me, right? So what I default to and what I think everybody should probably default to is we're going to be storing our videos on some type of SharePoint site, right? Because that lasts longer than my time at my company or my firm. So we want to put it in a place that has, more than one ownership and is like we're building a community, right? Where our subscribers are going to live. So when it comes to the different types of SharePoint sites, what do we think, Andy, about, communication site versus a team site versus like one that you get with like Viva Engage? What do you think about like the easiest to, kind of the more complicated options here?
Yeah, so in the hosting construct, the simpler it is, the easier it's going to be. So I think in this particular scenario, communication site's probably going to be the easiest because it doesn't have all the extra collaboration tools that you might find with like a new team site or a site that's connected to a Microsoft team. But a communication site, I think, is also streamlined so that it's more web-like versus like if you used an old classic team site. They're essentially the same thing. They basically have the SharePoint groups, owners, members, and visitors. And then they don't include all the other Microsoft 365 app integration that you get with some of the other sites. But I like the
Hmm.
communication site because of the simplicity. You got a navigation bar across the top, no
Yeah.
sidebar. Everything extends from side to side inside of the window, and content flows from top to bottom. And really, the communication site is it's the new publishing site. It's made
Hmm.
for visual content. It's made for engaging content. It's a place for people to consume content and a few people to be able to collaborate and publish content.
Hmm. Yeah. So if you're just making like a podcast or the equivalent of a YouTube channel, and you're going to be all you're doing is videos, or all you're doing is something for people to subscribe to that media, but you're not doing everything else that comes with a community. You're not necessarily like having a bunch of channels and hashtags, and you want to like organize people and have discussions really. You're looking at that com site. That's definitely the lightest weight version. And I think I put these in here kind of in order of complexity already. So I would say probably the SharePoint site that's associated with Teams or Yammer, Viva Engage. I would say that those are probably the most complex because you're doing a community, right? You're doing community building. Community management is required. This one, it's pretty simple because it's SPO only. You just get a site. And then kind of in the middle is like an SPO team site, right? And that's because it's a little bit more complex because you get an M365 group. So you get like Planner, you get, it makes a OneNote notebook for it, things like that. So it's a little bit more, but you're not necessarily like managing conversations and topic threads and stuff like that. Does that kind of make sense, you think?
Yeah, exactly. As you start to go up that ladder, your the purpose of the site really starts to change. Whereas a communication site's kind of that publishing portal. When you start getting into
Mm-hmm.
the team sites and Teams and Viva Engage, you're starting to get into collaborative spaces where you're engaging with one another and sharing ideas. And in some
Mm-hmm.
cases, we don't want that. We want some engagement, but we're mainly kind of publishing a place for people to consume. So as we start stepping up into those other sites, we get more of those other features that uh, complicate the management of it overall. I'm not saying there's anything
Mm-hmm.
wrong with that if that's the goal, but um, the more features you add, the more complex the workflow is for
Yeah.
long term.
Okay. So I'll lay it out this way. SharePoint com site, you're talking just the site. You don't really have like a bunch of other, extra stuff, but you get your doc libraries. That's where you're going to store your videos, your pages, which is where you can lay out your videos, make them all beautiful. And then your list, which when we get into notification and like building a subscriber list, you have that list functionality. So you have what you need to do what we're talking about. It's just if you want to grow up beyond that and you want to get, planner and stuff like that, that's where you get into a team site. And if you want to manage a community, we're kind of growing up from there. So hopefully that makes sense to you guys. You kind of everything is included in the one before it. So when it comes to the publishing process and like how we actually expose our videos, right? Um, I would say that the easiest way to do it is probably just throwing the videos in a folder, right? So like videos in a folder. Like you could just say, "Hey, here's where my videos are. You guys can watch them." And it's not the prettiest way of doing it, but there they are. You can click on them, you can watch them. If you know how to use Windows Explorer or how to use Mac Finder, you know how to use folders, on a SharePoint site too. I think when you're getting a little bit, better than that, you can organize your videos in different ways, right? You can add a little bit of flavor to your videos in a folder where you could add filtering and stuff like that. Maybe you want to add like custom columns to your document library. So that's certainly possible. Um, if you want to be real fancy, like what I'll show here, where I've got this nice page and it's got all these different filtered web parts and everything's laid out better than just a bunch of files that are like listed by name. That's a SharePoint page. That's definitely more advanced. There's also playlists Andy, so we could like talk about that. So the different options are playlists, which is a Microsoft list, right? That's a type of template in Microsoft lists. There's custom columns, right, which is like metadata, so you can get more advanced filtering. And then there's like SPO pages where you like add web parts and stuff. I would say probably all of these are more than easy, right? They kind of grow up to at least the medium column because you're doing something extra, right?
Yeah, I would agree with that. Like, and even in the easy column, like we've got folder. I think even before we get into folder, you got to say document library, then folder, because you create the document library first, so you use the default
Yeah.
that's already there, and then you can start to create folders to kind of organize it. And this is pretty straightforward. I mean, for the most part, it's a drag
Yeah.
and drop operation. But when you start working with a Microsoft list and you start working with custom columns, you're adding
Mm-hmm.
columns to the object, the list or the library. Then you're starting to work with views. So you're starting to group and filter and sort,
Mm-hmm.
create views to organize that. And even with the playlist, and the playlist is actually new. We should show that in just a moment. But even with the Microsoft list based
Mm-hmm.
playlist, there's some cool things that they kind of built into there from like an integration standpoint, ability to see a thumbnail, for instance,
Mm-hmm.
and be able to kind of order those in the way that makes sense to you. It goes into medium because you're dealing with columns and views.
Yeah, it's more complex. I think when you get into pages, then you're doing filtering and you're adding web parts and you're adding other elements into your page, text, headers, heroes. I think that's where you kind of get into like it's not necessarily hard, but it's the most effort, right? To kind of get that going and you're building like a channel page like what I've got here. So, I think maybe if I show the structure behind this, we can talk about that easy, medium, hard when it comes to like the structure of the site. So the documents library, every SharePoint site gets a documents folder called documents, right? So that would be the equivalent of this guy, videos in the docs folder. Then when you get a little bit more advanced, but not really at all, you're making a folder, right? So I've made a folder here called videos. Inside that folder, I've got 3 channels, if you will, one about live events, one about Teams tips, and one about OneDrive. And then inside the Teams tip, I have a bunch of files here. So I think this is still just very basic out of the box stuff. I think whenever we get into, I want to take all these and I want to put them into a playlist. That's where we maybe move into the medium category, which I think if you go here, yeah, now there's a button. This is kind of new. There's a button when you select a video or some type of media, you can click add to playlist. So there's 2 ways you could go about it. You could go into the waffle, go into lists, create a new list, use the template called playlist, or you could kind of get a shortcut by selecting a video, add to playlist. And then this brings up like, okay, what are your playlists? I don't have any because this is brand new. So I could make a new playlist called Teams Tip Tuesday, right? And I don't want to store it in my list because that would be my OneDrive. I want to store it in this Microsoft 365 adoption site. So we'll do that. I'm not going to show it in site navigation and we'll hit create. So this is going to create a SharePoint list and it's going to add that video to the list. So, you know what? I forgot to add you to this, Andy. I just realized. Let me do that and make you an owner. That way you can grab the screen if you need to. Sorry about that.
Yay.
It's a brand new
Ownership.
site. I just made this new tenant. So then as I go down, it looks like I can't add multiples to the playlist. That's kind of a bummer. But if I go just one at a time, add to playlist, it should come up that maybe I need to refresh the page, add to playlist, and it's not showing it. That's great. Let's go find that list then, I guess, and I'll show you how to add it the other way. It's probably just like a caching issue with my browser. So if we scroll down here and we go to Microsoft Lists at the bottom, then we'll see there's my recent list, my new list. Let's go to list that I created. Well, I'm not seeing it. I wonder if I forgot to save something when I made that other list. Let me go in here to my content and site content. Teams Tip Tuesday. There's the list right there. I just created it today. There's my playlist. I don't know why that was so hard to find. So there's that one video that I added. Then I can click add new items and I can go navigate through here. So I could like go in Teams Tip Tuesday, and this is where I could add multiple items. So I'm going to select those. Now I'm making a playlist, and you can see the view in the upper corner right here. This is the playlist view, but you can go and you can see it just like a normal SharePoint list. But if you want a playlist, that's what it looks like there. You can play to the next video and all that. If you want to, you can edit the list. You can change the title of it, stuff like that. So there's a few more options there. It's getting a little bit more medium level, right? Talking like in here, but it's not quite as much as like when I created a whole page. I did that before this event because I didn't want to mess around with like having to have you guys watch me make a list for like 20 minutes. So it's not quite as hard as a whole page. But if we go back here to share site contents, you want to talk about adding some metadata columns, Andy?
Yeah,
We
absolutely.
could add like maybe subcategories or something. It's like, how would we do that? We go in here, say we make a new column with like choice, right? And let's try doing like category maybe. And then this is about teams. So maybe there's like meetings, and then maybe one that's, I don't know, chat, and then one that's like channels and like events, right? So then I've got that. I've got this category column now. Whoops. And then I can go in and edit this by doing like details. And I can select a category for this. So this is about booking meetings. So this is the meeting category. This one is about tasks from chat. So I can go in here and I can add, this is a chat category. So because I'm doing a custom column with this new metadata, now I'm able to like filter things a little bit easier and kind of create a view from this, right? So this is getting files. This has to do with channels, right? Adding presenters in a live event. So that's about events. How to capture whiteboards. That's about meetings. How to change options during meetings. Obviously, that's meetings. Then how to do webinars. That's a type of meeting. So now that I have this set up, I could display these things and kind of create new views by, saying group by, right? And now I've got like a little bit different layout. It's not as pretty as just doing just doing like a full page, but it's a little bit better than like just a list of files. So we're saying that that's medium, you think? Because that wasn't too complicated. And then the page layout, that's where I think I would say it's hard because it's the most involved. It's not difficult, but it's, you got to think visually. You got to think about the layout because you kind of start with a blank slate, right? So I've kind of got like sections here, and then this section is a hero web part. So if I click on that, you'll see that it's a 5 tile. If I open up each one of these, I had to point it to a specific video. I had to give it a title. I had to give it a background image. By the time you kind of work your way down, you're spending maybe 10, 15 minutes to build a page out. Honestly, though, I think this is the best way to kind of like present your channel or present your podcast or whatever to your audience.
It's
So
visual. We're not
Yeah.
teaching people to be experts on how SharePoint document libraries and folders are structured. We're not having that
Hmm.
conversation on folders versus metadata. We're not having that conversation on columns and views. We are presenting this
Yeah.
stuff in a visual format that is very web-like, that most end users are familiar with. So we give them the link to the
Hmm.
page, and then they can visually scroll down and see what they want, quick and easy, and they don't have to deal with any of the
Hmm.
infrastructure on the back end. But it's in the
Yep.
medium category because we need to build that infrastructure so that we can maintain it moving forward.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a really nice user experience
Yeah.
because I can be like, oh, what's this about, Snap Camera? Okay, I want to watch that. It doesn't even take me away from the page. I can view that. If I had generated transcripts, I'd be able to turn on my captions, all that cool stuff. I can see my analytics, chapters. It's a very rich experience. It just takes a little bit more time for the publisher to do that. So, yeah. You know what? We have a question. Tom said, "Do you have the new stream web part yet?" I don't know. Let's check that out because it is, I think, supposed to be rolling out in like June or July, right? So stream. No, I just have the classic one, unfortunately. So what I'm using for this page though to kind of cover that is I'm using a hero web part up here at the top. This allows me to like have highlighted featured videos, and then all of these are just highlighted content web parts. So this one is highlighted content sorted by trending. This one is highlighted content sorted by most recent, so it's the latest videos. And then at the bottom, this is highlighted content for all of the videos in that folder. And what I'm doing is I scoped it to be 500 items. So it's like up to 500 videos will list here at the bottom. And that way it's kind of just everything in one spot. If you get further down than the featured one. And yeah, I see Renee was talking about, there was a video template announced. There was at the M365 conference. They announced that they're going to have video templates. So when you go up to the top, I'm just going to republish this. When you go up to the top of the SharePoint site and you hit new page, in these templates, there's going to be some video ones coming out. Um, I'm not sure when that one's coming. And then there was in the web parts, there's going to be a new native video stream on SharePoint. So a new one that's dedicated to video that hopefully, I can do filtering with this by filtering the folder or the metadata. It's getting into file filtering. When I haven't seen anything about what the video web part looks like, but I'm hoping that it'll be just more aware of things that are matter to videos rather than just plain documents. So I think that one's like coming in the next month or so. Hopefully I'll make a video on it if I can.
And not to gloss over it too much, but the
Hmm.
hero web part supporting video files in it, like you've got there underneath featured videos,
Hmm.
the hero
Yeah.
web part it's been there for a while now, and it gives
Yeah.
you between 3 to 5 images to work with, either kind of in a grid view or in a stacked view. Well, the hero
Hmm.
web part now supports video files, so you, as John had on the screen there, you can drop one of those in the video in the hero, and it puts a play button on top of it, so you still get that hero like effect,
Hmm.
a call to action, a brief title, and then they can play a video right inside of there.
Yeah. And I want to show something real quick here. If I filter by by stream and go to like in development and rolling out. This is the public roadmap for them. They Where were we? Oh no, this is Microsoft Search. Sorry, not Search. I want Microsoft Stream. So in here, just development and rolling out, there was the ability, the playlist in the SharePoint list web part. So you'll be able to like take that playlist that we just created, put that on a page. That will be really nice. The stream web part, which is that native web part, that's coming out in July. The playlist was going to be in June. So I wonder if we could check that out real quick. Um, and then video pages, that's coming in August. That I think Tom said later this year. So it looks like August for those video page templates. That will be really nice. Yeah. And it would be nice if more web parts, yeah, here it is. More web parts are going to do that inline playback that you were talking about, Andy. So, you know how, like, right here in the hero web part, I click on it, it just plays inline. But if I go down here and I click on one of these, it takes me to the full player. They're actually going to make that more integrated starting in September. Whenever you click on a video in another web part, it will just play on the same page. So that's going to be really cool. So it's the end of June. Let's see if there's a playlist web part available. So there's not one called playlist, but I can do a Microsoft list. And then there's my play. Yeah, there you go. Okay. That answers this, Tom. So yes, you can select a list web part and you can select your playlist that you made, and it's got the playlist view right there. So yeah, dude, you could totally embed your playlist now inside of your SharePoint site. Let's see what it looks like in like a side-by-side view. So there it is as like a 50-50 two-column layout. It puts the videos at the bottom, the player at the top. So, dude, how nice is that? That's pretty cool. So yeah, that's brand new as of this month. Cool. Okay, so anything else on like getting your videos in front of users in the publishing process? Like, what do you do? Where do you put them? I like
So
SBO pages the best, but it's like the most time
right.
consuming.
One more thing to add to the that pages conversation is site
Mm-hmm.
pages can also be promoted as news. So you can create the page
Yeah.
with the web parts and then you can promote it as news, and that picks up in the SharePoint news service, and that news surfaces in about 6 different places. So when you promote it as
Mm-hmm.
news, people that are members of the site will see it at SharePoint home. If you have a news web part on the site, the news web part will pick it up. If you're using hub sites, the hub sites could pick up that news article. The center hub, for the hub site association, or you could even
Mm-hmm.
publish it out to the associated sites. You can also surface it through Microsoft Teams, and there's an email digest that can also go from that. So by promoting it, you can hit that service, and you can reach a whole bunch of people with very little effort.
Yeah.
And thankfully, promoting
Cool.
is
So
not
I'll
that
put
hard.
that in
You
there.
just hit the promote
Yeah,
button.
promoting stuff is easy. Yeah, but you know, it's something that you can do a lot simpler. Yeah, you could also send the whole page to promote right here. You can send it to
Hmm.
Yammer if you want, or an email. Yeah, you could do it nice. This is what you were showing, right? Post as a
Yep.
news, so that way it shows up in those news feeds. So I captured those. I captured the nuance that it's more time to build, but it's the best experience. And over in this world, you get more filtering options if you put a little bit more effort into just videos and folders. And then at the very basic, just videos and folders. But, you know, we're here to do something a little bit cooler than that. So moving on to notification options. Um, there's easy, medium, and hard for this. And it's like, how do people typically notify people that there's a new video, right? There's probably, what do you think? Like email is one of the easiest ways. Viva Engage
I
posts
wouldn't call
slash
email
announcements.
easy.
Well, yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm just listing things out like Teams announcements, right? Uh, I mean, I guess you could do like Teams bots. You know, you could have like bots that are sending things like adaptive cards and stuff like that. So, are there any other things that we can think about notification? Oh, one thing that pops in my mind: list notifications,
So it'd be
list
like list
alerts.
alerts.
Yeah, those just like baked in list alerts for a SharePoint list or a document folder, because a document folder is really just a SharePoint list with files in it. Somebody's gonna like freak out at me for oversimplifying things like that, but I mean, to me, that's what it is.
And I think the overriding theme in the easy
Hmm.
area is that a lot of this is manual. It, it's
Yeah,
it's it's
yeah.
a
I
manual
would say
effort
bots are
to
hard.
send those out. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
list
like
alerts are probably somewhat easy because like the user could do it. You could really kind of teach somebody how to do it quickly.
Hmm.
Teams announcements, that's pretty manual. Same with like the Viva Engage post.
Hmm.
So like maybe I don't know if you want to say that these are easy or medium.
I mean,
Maybe
it's
we
not
leave them in
hard
the
to go
easy
into a
category.
Teams channel and create a
Yeah, because
post
you're just
and
like
label it an
pasting a link
announcement.
in,
Yeah.
saying, "Hey, here, watch my video." But it's a lot of lifting, especially like put your hat on with like I'm a podcaster and I'm making these corporate podcasts. They're great. I'm putting them in a SharePoint folder for my organization. But like, I'm going around just announcing in all these different places, hoping that people see it. I'm not really building like subscribers necessarily. I'm just catching people where they happen to be passing through.
We're on the
So I
street
would say
corner
that,
soliciting people as they pass
yeah,
by.
exactly. You're kind of you're megaphoning it. The list alerts, maybe we move that one over to medium because you got to teach people to do something.
Yeah.
I don't think we need to cover how to write an email or a Viva Engage post, but I was thinking, why don't we show everybody those list alerts in case you've never seen that? You could teach your users and say, hey, I'm not going to make a subscribe button necessarily. Instead, I'm just going to teach people how to go do their own thing, right? Teach a man to fish instead of giving him fish. So, what they could do is they could go into the videos that they want to know about, right? This is my folder that I want to basically monitor. And then I can say up at the top, alert me. And this is very end user driven, but they can say, okay, whenever somebody puts a new video in here, I want you to email me about it. And I want you to say like, new Teams Tip Tuesday video. So that's the title of the alert. I want you to email me or send me a text message. And only whenever a new item is created. And if anything changes, and then when to send alerts, I want it immediately, or I can get a digest or something like that. So that's one thing that you could do is you could hit OK on this. And then now the person has like set themselves up to get an alert. That's the equivalent of a subscribe button, but instead of saying, "Hey, click subscribe," smash that subscribe button. Instead, you're saying, "Hey, everybody, go to this folder, say alert me, do this, do that." 8 steps later, now you're subscribed. It's not as easy for users. So,
That is not an easy button.
no, definitely not. Not as nice as what I've got here at the top of Teams Tip Tuesday, where it says subscribe right there. That's what I want for users. Tom's got a good point though about like, what about a public group like a team or a Yammer group, and you just had like alerts to email the people. That's something that you could do. Is you were talking about that when we were talking back and forth, like, why not just say, if you want to get alerts on my videos, then join my group. And if you join the group, you get alerts. If you leave the group, then you're unsubscribed, basically. So you could do that.
So
Do you think that'd be hard?
that goes back to how we construct the site, though. If we're doing this based off of a communication site, where does the group come from?
Yeah. Yeah. So maybe that's medium because you as the builder can do it for them, right? And it's a little bit simple in that it's like based on your membership in the community. So maybe we do like community membership based alerts, automated alerts. And that would be like, I'm going to email everybody in the channel, or I'm going to like do a Teams notification to a channel or something like that. So you could do that. Yeah, and oops, I clicked off of my loop component. So yeah, Tom's saying he thinks medium for that one. The group would have to be separate, then the owner makes the rule to send to the group. Yeah. Yeah, so you could definitely do that, and you could do it one of two ways. So as we get down here into triggers, you could trigger it based off of if the file lands in the folder, the fully automated, or you could decide as part of my publishing process, I'm going to put it in the folder. Then I'm going to, mark it as published, or I want to be in control of sending the alert. Then what you could do is you could do what's called like for the selected item, I think is what it's called in Power Automate, where you basically are selecting the video that you just published. Like, say I'm doing this video is brand new. I want to manually say I'm ready to send the subscribe thing. So what you would do is you would hit rules and you would like click the button to fire off the notification. But after that, it's all Power Automate for the formatting and stuff. So that's certainly something that you could do where it's scoped to all the members of this M365 group, send them an email or send them a chat message. So,
And we can talk through those examples and kind of reference the user group presentation that I gave yesterday, because it really does come down to where do the subscribers come from? A list, a SharePoint group, a Microsoft 365 group, or another object for that.
Yeah. That was an idea. He's talking about like library rules. You could maybe get into that. That's probably more complicated because it's just more about, or it's like a little bit more classic, like SharePoint classic feeling to me than like I probably would go to Power Automate right away too. I think that's a little bit more visual in how you're building your automation.
Yeah, I agree.
So maybe we put that under like complicated. And then same with Teams bots. You're doing Power Automate or you're doing maybe like virtual agents and stuff, but you're getting into adaptive cards and stuff like that, which I want to try in this live stream because that's basically where I got stuck. Was I've got a user-driven subscribe button, but it's like not quite working right with Teams. It works great with email, so I want to see if I can get that like last 5%. So the automation options, when we're talking just in automation, there's triggers, where you put your people, and then how you notify them, right? So some of the easy triggers, and I'll explain this when I get to the like what I've done. One of the easiest triggers that you can do is a form submission, right? I'm building a form. Yeah, MS form submission. So, when they submit the thing, process the form reply, do something with it. That's pretty easy. That's basic Power Automate. I would say also like file upload, or what's it called? New file creation. Whenever a file lands in a folder, run an automation. That's an easy trigger, I think. So like maybe like file modification is another one that you could do. So say that you go in here and you've got a category right here. Let's add another one for like, I don't know, status. And then I've got like draft, published, and then like archived, maybe something like that. And then what I could do is I could say, all right, whenever a file is modified, which means that like whenever I click on this and I move it from draft state, like say everything's in draft, right? And like this is archived, whatever. Say that I go from draft to published and I click off of it, I like get out of there. Now it's going to fire off the alert, right? So the file has been modified because the metadata was modified. I think that's also pretty easy because it's totally hands off. The hard thing would be like for a selected item, right? That's like manually kicking off a process. It's a manual click, and I don't know. I have a little bit more trouble with that. What do you think? There's also like whenever a person joins and leaves a group. Is that something that we can add? So
yeah, that would definitely
membership.
fall in the medium category.
Okay.
It could also roll over into the hard category depending on what type of group we're talking about. So
yeah.
if it's like in the old days, the SharePoint group was really easy, but in the nowadays, a Microsoft 365 group is easy and a SharePoint group is hard. So it depends on the type of group. So it could be medium, it could be hard.
I think another thing I want to add maybe to the hard column is scheduled triggers, because it seems like it might be easy, but I think like if you're talking about I want to run this every Friday and send the new videos, you're going to have to do a bunch of filtering on the list of objects
Hmm.
to see if like anything new was added or changed or something. And I think like because you're
John might be having some audio issues. Folks, can you still hear me? Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. So I will fill in for a second while John does some audio checks. Now it's his turn to have the audio problems. I had them whenever we were getting started. All right. So going down with the hard category, just a couple other things to go back on scheduling. So, as John was mentioning, we do have the filtering option there. So, say you've got a list of SharePoint items, a playlist that you want to work with. We have to put an identifier in that list. So, we have to have a column that identifies what we want to add to the schedule. So, like a column that says add to schedule, yes or no. And then from there, we have to filter down through that list in order to look for those values. Well, Power Automate has some nuances associated with it. So, depending on the number of items, we might have to do a condition filter. So, that means or a trigger condition filter. That means whenever the flow starts to run, it automatically filters down and then runs off of what it returns from that. Or we have to loop through everything that we get. It's an array, and then we have to go and filter down through that array to find the values that we want. So, in any case, when you start to work with filtering, you can do conditions, but in the Power Automate world, that's not the most efficient thing. So, we might want to actually do as an OData filter, and doing an OData filter is going to give
Mhm.
us a lot more control, but then you have to learn the syntax. And it's not too complicated. It's basically SharePoint column operator like equals, does not equals, contains, less than, greater than, and then the value that we're looking for. And then once it runs that filter, we get the output of that. But we're dealing with OData. We're dealing with a little bit of an expression. We're dealing with maybe working with an array, maybe parsing through JSON, maybe a trigger condition. So it can get a little bit complicated at that particular level. And if we really want to get complicated with it, the insane mode is definitely the trigger condition. If you haven't seen these in Power Automate, we'll show you one today. But the
See,
trigger
I don't know
condition,
anything about trigger conditions like
oh,
that.
there
That's
you are.
totally new for me. Yeah, dude, I figured out what it was. So on my Logitech mechanical keyboard that I love, by the way, there's a mute button right here. I must have hit it because I couldn't figure out what was going on. And then I looked at the top and there was like a microphone with an X on it. And I was like, wait a sec, why is it not working? So yeah,
All the lessons
I
we
hit
learned
my
in live
mute
streaming.
button that I've never hit that button before. I must have accidentally hit F9. So sorry about that, everybody. But I'm back now. Um, yeah. So what you were saying, like filtering is hard. Trigger conditions is like even more ridiculous. Kind of overkill, right? For what we're talking about doing here.
It depends. It depends on how comfortable you are
Okay.
with creating an OData expression. The thing that's great about a trigger condition is that it saves you flow
Mm-hmm.
runs. you have a certain number of runs per user per license per month, and most users are not going to hit that. But a trigger
Yeah.
condition will only execute the flow if the condition is met. So not only does it filter the data to exactly what you want, then it only runs on that data and it doesn't have to go through all
So it
the
does the
other.
filtering
Right.
before all of the actions.
So
Okay.
you got a list of 100 videos, but you only have 10 that are set to be scheduled or published. It'll look
Mm-hmm.
for the 10 that are published and only run the flow on those, and it'll omit the remaining 90 from the run. So it saves compute,
Okay.
it saves time, it saves a flow run if the condition isn't met.
Okay. I'm going to add another one to medium, which is kind of like for a selected item, but it's just a flow button, right? You got to go to the flow website, click on execute for that particular flow. So, okay. Tom's saying he thinks that rules might be medium from his perspective rather than hard. Like it might not be quite so complicated. Like, would you have a scheduled flow then that has a trigger condition inside it before it did anything else?
So
Is that how you'd set that up?
I would use, I mean, you could do it. It depends. Like most of the time, whenever I do a trigger condition, it's based off of a flow that I run manually.
Mm-hmm.
It's so you could do it based off of other starting options, but I think anytime you get into scheduling and you get into filtering, that definitely gets hard because you have to work with, in most cases, you're going to be working with OData and expressions in
Mm-hmm.
order to push that through. And for novice users like that, working with the formatting of an OData expression can get a
Mm-hmm.
little
I
complicated.
get lost when it comes to OData. You know, I'm not good with Power BI either, especially. Um, okay, we'll leave it where it is then. Um, so subscription list. What I'm thinking with this category is how have you collected your people together to get the notification, right? Is it a group of people? Is it a list of people? Something like that. I would say probably for the easy ones, if we're talking about like a form submission, say you do it totally manually and you want to say, yeah, yeah, as Tom said, like they just need to introduce playlists or podcasts, and then this would be a lot easier. Yes, Tom, that would be great. So say I want to bring my subscribers together and I want them to like fill out a form saying, yes, I want to know about these. And then you take that list of people from the form and you send them an email totally manual. That's definitely something you could do. So I'll say Microsoft Forms is a place that you could contain people. I would think very quickly you would want to put them on a SharePoint list instead. You know, I would want to like level up and go to a SharePoint list, which is what I have under the next section already kind of set up. When we talk about group membership and like as a trigger, that's where we get into like group membership in AD, right? And you can do that as a SharePoint group or Azure AD group membership, right? Those are two different things. What other containers could we do? An Excel spreadsheet, right? You
Now,
could like
you're
take
putting
people
that
off
in
the
the easy
form
column,
and you could,
but
yeah.
if we're trying to work with that in Power Automate, no, the spreadsheet's not going to be easy. I
That's
mean,
true.
the
You're not gonna
second
be able to
somebody
open
has
that
that
up.
open, it
Yeah.
the Power Automate's going to break. So like
So we think
I would put that in
medium because
hard.
it's at least manual or crappy. All right, hard.
Yeah, I would put that one in the hard category. Like
Is
that's
there,
what
can we
most
add a
users are going to
category for
reach for.
antiquated, old school? Um,
Old and busted.
what about like, you were talking about like OData and like, I mean, I guess you could put them in like a SQL database
I
or,
mean,
and, you know,
yeah,
connect to it.
a CRM.
Uh, yeah, yeah. So, I mean, all of that stuff would be like OData connections, right? You're going to connect to something else. Um, oh, that's true, Tom. Yeah, all of these would be related to Power Automate because we're in the automated sub options.
Yeah.
So yeah, processing a Excel spreadsheet is a nightmare in Power Automate compared to a SharePoint list where each item is an object. There's
And
also
then,
Dataverse.
but keep in mind that's a premium connector, so there's going to be a
Yeah,
cost associated with that. And
so that's expensive,
yeah, so like
or could get expensive.
I don't know. I mean, you got to build the Dataverse table and the columns that, and that could lead into which environment you want to run it in the Power Platform, and then
Hmm.
who's going to have access and the security considerations with that, and then the app connecting to it. So that's where it kind of gets in the weeds with Dataverse. Um, and just kind of looking at this, like I might
Hmm.
actually shift the group memberships over. The SharePoint group membership, I would leave that in the hard category because it's not
Okay.
getting
But as Tom
SharePoint group
mentioned,
members is a little hard. But
there is an
yeah,
action to read a M365 group,
yeah.
you
So
know?
like we're referencing it here as an Azure Active Directory group. There's just an action there, but there's also a standalone
Hmm.
Office 365 group action. Should be renamed Microsoft 365 group. They're
Yeah.
basically the same thing, and it'll allow you to get all the members of one of those groups back.
Yeah.
The only hard part about it is once you get the members or once you get that information back, you get all the information, the display name, the email address, and all
Yeah.
the
So you've
other
got to use
data.
the right attribute to
Yeah, you
notify
got to
them.
filter through it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So maybe that's what we've got. If we think of another way to store people, we can add it.
Yeah.
So how we actually notify people, there's it's a little bit the same up here, right?
Hmm.
Like you can email them from Power Automate. You can send them a Teams chat through Power Automate. Teams channel, which is essentially the same thing. You could do an adaptive card, which I would like to learn about. Viva Engage post. And then I learned yesterday that in the Viva Engage post, you can set it broadcast yes or no. And that makes it an announcement, right?
Hmm.
Engage announcement. Um, are there other ways to notify people through Power Automate? I mean, if you get into premium connectors, then you could do like texting them or send something to like their home automation, turn a light green when there's a new video. Maybe we just don't get into premium connectors because you could do like an HTML or HTTP post request,
I
and then
mean,
like you could get
there
like way crazy.
if you start going outside of the Microsoft services, there's options. I mean, you can send through other email services. You can send
Mm-hmm.
other collaboration apps, third-party apps. You can also send text messages
Mm-hmm.
through some apps if you need. I mean, Power Automate has over 500
Mm-hmm.
connectors, and that doesn't
Yeah.
even count like the custom gateways
Be
that
like
you can create.
start my Tesla when there's a new Teams tip video.
I mean, you could probably have it trigger OK Go and then have them like start their Rube Goldberg machine for one of their music videos if you wanted from
Yeah.
Power Automate.
Okay, we'll say Microsoft Surfaces then. Adaptive card, I think that's hard,
Yeah,
right?
JSON.
Um, I would maybe because what you were saying yesterday is the Viva Engage announcement. If you make it into a broadcast, yes, you make it into an announcement, then you can do markdown
Hmm.
formatting. That probably moves it to medium, don't you think? Because now you got to like do a little bit more than just plain text.
Yeah, you got to know how to use Markdown. So like when you as a user go to edit a message in Viva Engage, you can use some of the built-in the controls to do like bold, italics, underline, bulleted lists, and numbered lists, and so forth. But if
Yeah, it's
you want to
easy
do
with
it from the
email because you have the buttons.
yeah,
You know.
but if you're trying to do this in Power Automate, you have to tell it how to format the message in Power Automate. And so the action in Power Automate is going to support Markdown. So you're going to have to supply the
Mm-hmm.
message in Markdown. You're going to have to build the outline of the message and enter dynamic content lookups with Markdown, and then pass that into the
Mm-hmm.
message. And then it's only going to work um, as an announcement, well, as a broadcast. You can't do it in a normal Viva Engage post. So with that in mind, I would actually move the Viva Engage announcement because of the Markdown
To
piece
hard.
over hard, because you've got
Okay.
to know how to do the Markdown formatting, and that might be beyond the scope of some users.
It's just beyond my my capability. I've just haven't like geeked out enough to learn Markdown. Viva
And
Engage
there's
post
some
though,
editors
that's a
that'll
little bit
convert it
harder
for
because you got
you.
to find the group and stuff. Maybe, do you think that makes the channel a little bit more medium because like you got to know what channel and what group
You got to know what
to put
channel
it
and what
in?
group, but the channel can also support Markdown. So you can do plain text, but the channel also support Markdown. So I think that one kind of sits in between medium and hard.
Yeah. Well, let's do it for the same reason as the other, as Viva Engage now. So it's getting a little bit more difficult. And I guess you could do a channel announcement, right? And maybe just like a
Mm,
Teams channel post is
I don't think a channel announcement is
can you
supported
do
in
an
Power
announcement
Automate
with
Actions.
Okay. Okay, we'll take off announcement then
Yeah, I
and
think you
say
could
that
just
you're going to do something
post
with
a
more
message. I don't
formatting.
think they support announcement. We'll double check on that when we go to the demo in a minute.
Okay. And the engage post, that's firmly in medium because like you can't do extra formatting. You can do plain text, but you do have to do some like lookups to find the right community identifier. Teams chat's pretty easy because you could just use the person, their email address to chat with them with Teams. And same with email. Email is definitely the easiest because you could use the V2 connector and then you could make things bold, italics, just like, rich text formatting, which is pretty easy. So, what do you think? Leave it like this?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm just looking to see the Power Automate for the Teams.
Yeah, I switched over to your screen.
Yeah, there's in this particular action, there's nothing that allows us to designate it as an announcement in the channel. I'll double check on
Okay.
that.
Okay, cool. All right, so we'll leave it as this then. So now that like I think we're at the halfway point, maybe we get into the building, right?
Yeah, I think we
And
should
like
start building it out.
let's get into the solution. So or what I've got so far. So here's what I have been thinking for the past few months is, I want to have a bunch of videos. Say that I've got an M365 adoption group. I want to have the videos for Teams Tip Tuesday stored in a folder. And I want to have a page for my channel. And then on my page, I want to have a subscribe button, right? That's kind of the format, the layout. So what I've been thinking is I'm going to have a form submission. Like that's going to be one thing. Can I like change this color? Yeah, here we go. So I'm going to make this green. So I'm going to do more new form submission. And then I think I want to do it on, I would like to do for a selected item to actually push the notification out. So I'm going to see that way of doing it. And then I'm going to be storing people in a SharePoint list because I think I like that the best. And then I think I want to offer them a chat and an email just to keep it kind of simple. And I want to be like individual. I don't really need to notify a whole group of people. I just want to do like those. And I would like it to be really, an adaptive card if I can get it going. So what I've got is the video hosting is on a SharePoint site called M365 Adoption. I've got a video folder, and then I've got a channel called Teams Tip Tuesday, right? Then I've created a channel page right here at the top. I've got a subscribe button, which is a call to action button. And then I'm going to store my users in a SharePoint list so that whenever they click subscribe, they get added to a SharePoint list. And then I'm going to use that list to do my automation. So I'm going to have two forms. I'm going to have a subscribe form. And then you got to think about the flip side of that, which is the unsubscribe process. People can get on the list. How do they get themselves off the list? So I want to think about that as well. And then basically I've got 3 Power Automate flows for a channel of videos. I've got a subscribe flow, an unsubscribe flow, and then the notification delivery flow. So whenever somebody submits the button that says subscribe, I want to get that response. I want to look them up and I want to add them to the list. If they unsubscribe via the form, then I'm going to get the form. I'm going to find their name in the list and I'm going to take them off the list, right? So let's look at the structure for subscribe and unsubscribe. So what I've done is I've got two forms here. I've got subscriber sign up and then unsubscribe. If I click on that, I want it to be simple. I don't need to ask them their name or anything because I'm capturing their name. I'm recording names under settings. So I know who they are and they can submit it as many times as they want. So basically what I want to know is like, how do you want to be notified? Do you want an email? Do you want a chat message, or do you want both of them? Right? Like maybe they want Teams and Outlook. So just one question. And then if they want to unsubscribe, I don't want to ask them no, because like if they're unsubscribing, they're going to click yes, right? So I need them to submit it. So I'm going to have yes be the only answer. Do you want to be removed? We'll pull you off the list. Then in Teams Tip Tuesday, I've got the button. This is call to action. And you can kind of see in the lower corner right there, it's a Microsoft form. So that is linked to the subscribe form right there. And then if I go into site contents, we already looked at the documents folder, but I've also got this subscriber list right here. And I'm going to take myself off manually just so I can show this working. So this is where I'm going to subscribe people. All I need to know is what their name is, their email address, and how they want to be notified. Email, chat, or both, right? So in Power Automate, what I've got is so far I've only got two flows. The new subscriber flow, what we're going to do is we're going to edit this. Is whenever that subscribe form is submitted, we're going to process that form and we're going to get the response. Then we're going to get the person's user profile based off of their email, right? Which is all hard coded because I'm recording their name. Then I'm going to create a new item on the subscriber list with their name, their display name, their email address, and then their preference for how they want to be notified. And then what I want to do is I want to send them an email to their email address that says, thanks for subscribing. And then you'll now receive alerts. And then I want to give them a link to unsubscribe if they want to get out of it. And then I think I put that unsubscribe link on every notification too, right? So if you get too many notifications, you could always click unsubscribe at the bottom and get rid of it. And then I think what I had done also is I set the reply to no reply, so that people don't email me back by hitting reply. And I made the importance low. So it's a low priority email. So if we go through this flow and run it, the person's going to get on here. I love these tips. Let's click subscribe. They go, how do I want my tips delivered? Well, I want both things emailed to me and chatted to me. I hit subscribe. Thank you. It's been submitted. Now, if I go back here, let's open up Outlook and see if I got the email. There it is. So if I get rid of these, there's the email. Thank you for subscribing to Teams Tip Tuesday. You'll now receive alerts. If you wish to unsubscribe, please use this form. So I click on that, open it up. Are you sure you want to be unsubscribed? Let's go back here to my list of users. Site contents, there's my subscribers. There's John Moore. He was newly added. So that works great. Now, if I want to unsubscribe, are you sure you want to be removed? Click yes. I hit submit. What that's going to do is it goes through a different flow for unsubscribe. I just heard the ding in my ear. So let's edit this. What that does, if somebody says unsubscribe me, it's going to process that form response. Then it's going to get the subscribers from the list of subscribers and store those. And then for basically, I'm going to run through it and I'm going to look and see if the person's email address equals the responder's email address, right? I'm going to match up that person wants to be unsubscribed. If it's a yes, then I'm going to delete that item off the list and I'm going to send an email to the person saying they've been successfully unsubscribed with a link to resubscribe if they want to. Does that make sense, Andy?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I already went through and clicked that, and it should have removed my name, which if I go back to site contents, subscribers, okay, I'm off the list. The list is empty again, and I should have an email. Yes. an email. You've been unsubscribed. If you no longer want to receive, if you want to subscribe again, you could do this. So that works. Cool. So I'm getting people on and off of a list, right? That's great. I've got these done, right? So I guess I can cross those out. So the hard part now is the notification delivery. That's what I want to try to build together. So what we want to do is, I think I would like to do for a selected item be the trigger. That way, if I'm not quite ready to push it to everybody, I don't have to, just by uploading it. So let's try that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to, whenever the flow gets triggered, we're going to get the entire list of subscribers. And then for each person on that list, we're going to send them a notification according to their preference. So it's either going to email them, send them a message in Teams, or do both of those things. Sound good?
Yep.
Okay, so I need to get myself on the list again. So I'm going to do both again so that I'm on the list. We're going to close these forms. So we need a third flow now. So what we're going to do is is it automated and then for a selected item?
Now we're starting with the video.
Yes. So what I want is I want the
selected
button
file
to be in the document library. So it's probably easiest to go this way, isn't it? Go into the folder and then Teams Tip Tuesday, automate, integrate, power automate, create a flow. Yep. Is that right? If I want it to be a flow button. Okay.
Yeah, so it's going to show you the templates first. The templates are a great starting point to kind of learn about it. But some of the templates are using some older actions because some of the templates are a few years old at this point. Mm-hmm. And it's a good place to get started. But honestly, I would just go into Power Automate and then we can just create a blank flow and pick the trigger that we want to run from there. So let's
create.
Yeah, just do instant cloud flow.
Okay, so it's a button.
Yeah, and you can actually just hit skip here.
Okay. Oh, there's for selected item.
Yeah, that's for a selected item is going to be for a list. We want for a file because we're dealing with a library. So we'll just skip and we'll go into the editor here. So from here, just narrow it down to SharePoint as your trigger action.
Okay.
Or as your trigger, and then we can scroll through there until we find for a
there's for a selected file.
Now there's file and files. Do we want to run it on a single file or do we want to run it on like multiple?
I think just one at a time because I'm imagining I'm either running a YouTube channel or I'm running a podcast.
Yeah.
In stream, and I'm going to just do a single video or a single episode of my podcast.
Yep.
Okay, so we're gonna do for a file, and then we're gonna need to select
marks.
I know that's so annoying. So M365 adoption, that's my site. It's in the documents library. So it's in there. I could add an input, but I don't need that because I'm just going to select this and say push, notify users, right? Or something. So let's give it a name. Teams Tip Tuesday Notifier. How's that sound? And then we're going to do new step. And okay, so what I want to do is I want to process that whole list of subscribers and I want to send them the link to the video. So I probably need to get items, right? Off of the SharePoint list, plural, get items. We're going to get our M365 adoption site, if it will load here. Come on. Why isn't it loading? Let's save and refresh it. Oh, did I lose the whole thing? Yep, I didn't save it. Okay. Let's do this again. Selected. First selected file on SharePoint. And we're going to call this Teams Tip Tuesday -notifier because my other ones have dashes. So we're going to create that, and then site address, the adoption site, the document library. That's where my videos are. And then we're going to do, I'm going to save this now. Oh, you have to have an action. So get items. Let's see if it loads this time. So get items from a SharePoint list. Adoption. There we go. Preloaded. And I've got Teams Tip Tuesday subscribers. You don't want to pick the top one because that's my playlist. So subscribers, then limit them to a folder. I don't have any like folders in there. Okay, so just get everybody, right? And then what we're going to do is we're going to have the file. I guess I don't need to get the file details because I've already got that for the selected item, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't need to get anything like that. So now I'm down to doing just like an iteration through them all, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I need to do like a for each, right?
So depending on what you like, what are our next steps and are we doing email? Are we doing a Teams chat? Are we doing
I think we want to look at each
sequentially
person,
or at the same time?
I think we want to look at each person, and we want to either send an email, send a chat, or send everything based off what their preference was.
Okay.
So like for each item in the list, then we want to do like an email, right? Or no, we probably want to do a condition. We want to see what they have, right? We want to see what they selected. So choose value, delivery preference is equal to, and then like email, right? Well, I would need to do parallels, wouldn't I?
So yeah, again, it just depends on the desired outcome. So before we even do this, delete the loop.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, if for those of you that are building this at home and you're building this for the first time, like it looks a little intimidating. We want to see what we're getting right now. So like we want to save this and then we want to run an example and see what kind of data that we're actually getting back to make sure that we're getting everything that we want. We could do that a couple of different ways, but one of the things I suggest that you do now is just add a step down below where you currently are.
Yeah.
And then just type in the word compose.
Okay. Compose.
All right. And then add the compose action.
All right.
All right, so we've got the way that Power Automate works is whatever you get in the steps or stages up above can be passed down below, so that it very much runs top to bottom, and it allows you to build information sequentially. So by placing your cursor in the compose box, we can see from the get items step directly above, we can see all the things that we're going to be able to return from that. So that's going to give us, created by, email, display name, so forth. Because it's connected to a list, it's also going to give us any of the columns that the list supports. Then we go down and you see there's a second group that John's now in, and that's the for a selected file. And we can see the information that we're going to be able to return from that. So like we can see like user email, we can see timestamp. And if we scroll down through that, we can see the other properties
URL
for the
to it.
selected file. Now, are we seeing anything like the name of the video? Are we seeing the title of the video? When it was created, when it was created by. So there's some data that's not quite missing. And so having experience with Power Automate, I know I need to get that little extra bit of data because I might want to actually use that in the communication. And this is actually, I think Tom actually mentioned this, that we might want to add a get file property.
To get everything.
And, yep. So you want to do that between for a selected file and get items.
Yeah.
Because we're saying this is the selected item, but we didn't tell it, hey, bring all the other data along with it. We might want to use that. So we want to insert that for, we just want to get properties only. Like we don't want to actually drill down into.
Get file properties for that file.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's the ID for the file. Okay. So that will give us more things.
Yep. So now go back down to the compose, and if you scroll down through,
get item. get file properties. Now I have modified
And there's your
by claims. I've
title.
got the category. So there's my custom
Mhm.
metadata that I did, my status, color
Yep.
tag, description. Awesome. Thank
Yep.
you, Tom.
So now we're starting
There's so much
to
there now.
yeah,
Okay,
a lot more data that we can use,
sweet.
and we can use this data smartly. So that's also a pro tip. Use the
Hmm.
compose action to kind of debug as
To
you're
see
going
what's
along.
there.
But you can also write to the
Okay.
compose action as you're building this, and you can test the flow, and so you can see like what you're actually getting out of it,
Yeah, what's
and
coming
see
back.
if that's the desired results or not. So you can use that like all along the way.
That's
And
cool. Oh,
yeah,
yes, Tom.
I'm gonna bring this
Rename
to
your actions.
the
Yes. Yeah.
yeah. So if you dropped in another get file properties, it would just append it with a number at the end, and it's
Yeah.
going to get hard for you to remember which one and which stage it comes through. So name these as you're moving along because
Yeah.
it can get a little tricky.
Yeah. Get all subscribers from the TTT subscribers list, right?
Yep.
Teams Tip Tuesdays, TTT.
Yep.
So, okay.
All
Yep.
right. So let's delete the compose for now.
Yeah.
All
Okay.
right, and then save it.
Okay.
All right, and then the next thing I want you to do is we're going to go close that. We're going to go to the test
Mm-hmm.
option in the upper right hand corner.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and all right, it's not going to let us
Oh, because
actually
I
test
haven't
it.
run it. Yeah,
Yeah.
because there's no runs to send the
Yeah.
output,
All right,
the
so
input
cancel
for.
out of that.
Yeah.
Now,
Do you want me to
we
go try to fire it and see what
yep.
happens? Okay, let's do that. All
Make
right,
sure it's
so
turned
say
on
that we're
first.
gonna. Oh yeah.
Yep. Yeah, exit out of
I
there.
think it's on.
Yep. All right. So it says in the
Yeah,
center,
turn
just
off.
underneath. Yeah. So it's turned on. So
Yeah.
it should be ready to go. So we should be able to go
Okay.
here. Refresh the window,
Yeah.
select an item,
Now
and
automate.
then
There's Teams Tip Tuesday notifier.
yep. So that's
So
one
we're
of
gonna
two
fire that off.
locations you can access it from in that particular screen. So we selected highlighted
The
it,
automate button.
and then went to the
Mm-hmm.
automate in the command bar. I'll show you the other one in just a second.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, it's actually the ellipsis, the
Talk about
meatball
it from
menu.
here.
Go to automate. Yep, and it's in line right there.
Yeah. Yeah. So automate, and then Teams Tip Tuesday notifier.
Yep.
Yeah. So I've done that. Now, if I refresh this run, it succeeded. So that's great. It ran
So we can
for the
see the
selected
inputs
object.
and
You can see
what it
the
outputted.
output. Yep. So there's all of that, the user's email of the person. Then the properties for the file is probably going to load something pretty huge because it's got all the properties on it.
Mm-hmm.
And then also the subscribers. So here's this. So I'm sending it this site, the documents library, and then item number 4, the identifier. The identifier is this file here, which I've got like my job title, all that type of stuff in there. The status, it's set to archived. The user display name, so this is the person who created it. That's me. The thumbnail of the video, the link to the item. So there's the findtime.mp4. So that's the link. There's the name of the video, the folder path, the full path to the video, which is like a little bit more friendly. So yeah, there we go. And was there a description field? No. So I didn't have a description on it. So then I got all the subscribers, which, there's only one for that list. So if I click on that, there's me. I'm the one
Hello,
person in
JSON.
there. So yeah, it does a kind of ugly layout. So, okay, we've got that going. Now what we need to do is we need to process each of those people and get them the notification, right? Here's your new thing, right?
Depending on their notification preference. Is it email
Yes.
or is it chat?
Yeah.
So when you go and you add a step here, we're going to be working with controls. So
Yeah, so we're
what
going
kind
to
of
need a
control?
condition now.
Well, not necessarily. Clear that out and let's go back because there's options.
Because we got to do it for each person too.
All right, so click on new step and then highlight control and now look at the options that we have available. So you've got a condition. If this value equals this, there's a yes branch. If not, there's a no branch. In our situation, it could be email or it could be chat. So there's also a switch control, and
The
so you could
switch down
have,
here.
yep. So you could say like, if it's email, go and do
If it's
this,
this,
and
if it's
if
that, if it's
it's
that.
chat, go and do this, and you could have a couple of different switches along the way. There's a loop option, so you can loop through it in number of times, or you can loop until a condition is actually met, do until extends off of that. There's even a
Yeah.
scope where you can drop a whole bunch of things together and then run it underneath that condition. And then
Group them
there's the
together.
terminate
Yeah.
control, and that's helpful if you need to like provide an exit lane, or you need to handle like a null value or exiting out of it. In our particular case, we kind of know what we're going to do.
Yeah. And
Your
remember, we have
form,
those
did you
3
allow one
options.
selection or all?
I did one selection. So I did, because I didn't want to make it overly complicated, I did a
Yeah.
radio button with email, chat, or both, rather
Okay.
than having check boxes. That
All
way,
right.
it's a string of text that says both, or
Yep.
email or chat. I kind of wanted to keep that simple. So, what we need is we need to iterate through
I
each
would
person, and we
I
need
would
to do
actually
a switch for each person, right?
Yeah, so we are going to have to iterate through each person
Yeah.
to get
And
their
then we're going to need a
predefined.
switch to look at the 3
Yeah.
possibilities. So we're going to switch on preference, which is delivery preference. If it equals email, then we're going to send them an email. Or if it equals chat, then we're going to send them a chat. I think I have to put those in quotes, don't I? And then if it equals both, then we're going to do both of those actions, which will just duplicate and move them over, right? Or we could have that be the default, but whatever. So email, we're going to send them an email. So send an email v2 is right there. You do not need quotes there, Tom says. Okay. Let's take those
sorry,
out.
I missed that.
Yeah. Chat or the word both. So we're going to send them an email, and we're going to add dynamic content for the email address of the person, right? And then we're going to say new Teams tip Tuesday video. You have a new Teams tip Tuesday video. Then congratulations. There's a brand new Teams tip ready for you to watch. Enjoy. And then we can put like the URL, right, of the video, the item URL, and then they could click on it and watch it. Sound good? Just keep it simple. And then we probably want to do this no reply at collabmorelab.com, because I don't want them to email me. Right? We'll leave it maybe normal. You can also mark like a sensitivity if you have sensitivity labels. Okay, so there's that. And then we're going to rename this send them an email notification. And then for the chat, we want to do Teams chat, right? So post a message in a chat. Yeah, I think so. From the Flow bot, because I don't really want it coming from me, and I'm not using Power Virtual Agents. So we're going to post in a chat with the Flow bot and the person, and we're going to use their email, right? Because that's the same in my environment.
And Tom is one step. He's thinking along the same lines as me. Do we really want to go and type all that stuff all over again? Because we're basically sending the same message. So
The message, yeah.
why not create it once and use it in 2 places? So going
Put it up
back
here in a
up
variable.
before we even go through, use a compose action.
Yeah.
And then we can drop anything that we need into that compose action. Congratulations, here's the newest video with the link to it. And then we can just drop that into the body of the email or the Teams chat, and then we can reuse it.
Yeah. So there's that. Now I'm gonna rename this to compose the notification message. Right. And then inside of here, for each of these cases, which I need to rename those, right? Email case, chat case, and then both case. Both email and chat case.
Hey,
So
go and get your compose and drag it down between the last SharePoint action. Remember, it
down here.
flows from top to bottom. Yeah,
Oh yeah, because
you
I
can't
need the
call an
item
action
URL from the
from up
property.
above that you pulled from below.
Yeah. Okay. So then I can just have that rather than typing all that mess.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you guys for helping me be concise. Okay. So we've got those. Now to do both, we could just duplicate this, right? So copy, add an action from my clipboard, paste that sucker in. Come on. Why not working? Let me save this just to see. All right, so this clipboard, oh, come on. I might just have to do it manually. Okay, so copy that bad boy, add it over here. It's not working.
Try clicking on
Whatever.
one of the other tabs in there, and then
Yeah, I can add other stuff.
yeah, it just doesn't like it over there.
Yeah, for some reason. Okay, so we're going to do email, send an email like that. And we're going to do the same thing we did before. So the email address, and then we've got the notification. I could have done a compose action for the title or for the subject, I guess, but I'll just copy and paste it because whatever. And then over here, we're going to do a new Teams chat. Post a message in the chat from the flow bot, post in a chat with the flow bot, and then the person is going to be their email address, and the message is going to be that output. Okay. So that's that, right? Updating action. Okay. So then now I can test this again with a recently used trigger, which was that one file that we did. We're going to fire it off and see what happens. Oh, wait. Could not find valid connection reference name. Interesting.
Run your flow checker from there.
Do what? Yeah.
Go back to the editor and then.
Okay. Updating action to OData filter can improve the performance.
Yeah,
That's
we'll
just
come
a
back to that.
recommendation. Okay, let's see if we can get it going here. So there's the successful trigger. Let's test it. See, it doesn't like that. Well, you know what? Let's try running it from here then. Automate rules, notifier. It's going to come up. Signed into everything, continue, run flow. So I've done that. And now if I go back in here, I need to open up Outlook. I need to open up Teams. Let's go into the flow up here. And it was successful 7 seconds ago. So that's wonderful. And I've got a new email. Congratulations. There's a brand new Teams tip. And it did that, but it didn't do like a nice link to it. So that it's not, you can't just click on it. Probably the same thing here. I have a new chat message from here. Now this did work. So I can click on that. It opens up and there's my video that I can watch. So that worked. So yeah, we need to massage that formatting a little bit better. Yeah, it needs some basic formatting. So let's go back and do that then, right?
Yeah, and you can use like your HTML in there or markdown syntax.
Yeah, so I can do like a BR there, and then I can do like a href equals, and then I could put the URL, right? Like that. And you know what? I'm going to change, since I'm doing that as like a link, I'm just going to have it say watch now, right? And then, you know what? I'm going to put another line break just so I have like separation. We'll do it like that. Okay. So now let's go back and let's fire off that automation. Teams tip notifier. We're going to run our flow. So I'm publishing the video. I'm sending it out to the world. And then let's delete that. Okay, so I have a new message. It just did. It didn't do it.
Is that the new one?
Yeah. Oh, did I forget to put end quotes? Yes. I'm stupid. I forgot to put an end quote on it. My bad. All right, let's delete that. Let's delete that chat. I don't think it's going to delete those off of there, but whatever. Now let's try it again. So we're going to go in here and automate Teams tip notifier. I'm publishing my video now. Run it. There we go. Congratulations, there's a brand new Teams tip. Watch now. Boom. There's that. And then over here, it's the same thing. Congratulations. Watch now. So what would be cool is maybe we could do like the thumbnail for it, you know, make it a little bit more rich looking. But the thumbnail, I really wish you could just watch it inside, right? Like the adaptive card option. Like especially in Teams, it would be nice if it was a card instead, so that you could just watch it right inside the notification. I don't know if you think we should try that, or if we should just try doing like an image instead to try to get the thumbnail in there next. Where do you think we should go to make this a little bit fancier?
Hold on one second.
Okay.
Pulling up some references. So after you're trying to put an image
Stream
and
embed code. See, that would be cool, Tom. Or this like, I wonder if you could use the stream embed code. The thing is, though, like I don't think I could get that embed code from Power Automate. I thought about that. What were you saying, Andy? Sorry.
if you're trying to put the thumbnail inside of the email, that gets really tricky. I've done Power Automate with that before, but it's putting the or
Yeah.
grabbing the image and dropping it into the body is a little tricky.
Yeah, because I think the thumbnail image that I had, I think was just plain text, wasn't it? Because there is thumbnail URL to the thumbnail in 3 different sizes. So if I did like medium, oh god, what's
Ooh,
this
that
doing
might be
now?
an update. It might be new.
Value thumbnail medium, and then now I could do like the alt text could be video thumbnail. I don't know what size I want to make it, but we'll just stick with that. Whatever. Actually, I don't really need to put a size because it's probably getting the size from the medium thing. So I just want to show it full size. Let's try it. Let's see what it does. Automate Teams Tip Tuesday. Send this email off of here. Delete that old email. Oh god. That really messed it up.
Yeah. So with the with the email, what I've had to do in the past in order to get an image into the body is I had to
Mm-hmm.
initialize a variable and call it image tag. And then you have to do image source equals data colon image slash JPEG semicolon base 64. And then we have to reference the image that we want to use.
Ugh.
And some of that, yeah, the syntax
That's ugly.
isn't great.
Yeah.
I've gotten it to work, but you got to initialize a variable and then call the variable in the body of the email.
Mm-hmm.
If there's
Oh yeah,
another
he's
way
saying
to
like with
do it,
Graph API, you could set it that like whenever something gets loaded in, it uses Graph API to like grab the embed and then set it as a column, and then you could use it. I mean, that would be pretty sweet.
here's the difficulty level as we start to get into that. Like we're getting into
Yeah,
the
that's
hard.
true. I know.
And even dropping just the image inside of it can
It can be pretty
get difficult.
complicated. Yeah, let's see what
Yeah.
the thumbnail looks like, the formatting as it came out. So I got image source and it was blank. Image source, it was still blank. Huh. Oh, and I don't have a closure on the image. That's probably why that messed that formatting up. So that's weird. The file properties, if we go down here, I saw thumbnail small, and it's got this like transform thumbnail provider. But yeah, it's not just like a clean image link. You know? It's got the height and width like baked into it. You know, but you can't just, I mean, you can paste it into a browser.
Oh,
And it works. How big is the
Tom's
large
suggesting
thumbnail?
this. Go back to the
That's
list.
a nicer size. Okay, the files.
Yeah. So you got the video uploaded. Open up the properties for the video.
Okay.
Or sorry, the in the yeah, we want to get into the player.
Oh, the player. Yeah, yeah. Here in the main.
Yeah. All right. And then go to the attributes off to the side
Just
in
a
the
second.
player.
Open and stream. You're talking about the full player here.
Yeah. And then we want to get there's the embed code
Yeah,
for the
that's
video.
under here under share.
Yep. So then you can take that, and Tom's saying just put that in a column in the SharePoint list, and then just call that value in the flow.
Yeah, yeah. So I could do that. I could
So
do text and then embed code. I'll do that all as one word. And then yeah, we'll do that. And then embed code. I
and
could
this
paste
is why
that
we
in.
do this live.
Yeah, so we just
This is why
figured
we
out.
do this as a
Oh,
live
it's too long.
discussion, so we can crowdsource some different answers and different perspectives. Because there's like 10
Right.
different ways that you could technically drop an image inside of this. Some are going to be easy, some are going to be hard. This might be a simple solution that's approachable for a lot of users. So let's see what actually happens with this.
Ugh, the field is too long or too short. It can't have more than 255 characters. So it's too big to do that. Dang it.
Did you do a single line of text
I did single line and it gave me that, and then I did multiple lines of text and it did the same
and
thing.
still get?
Yeah. Yeah, right now it's a multiple line of text column.
Yeah,
And it still
and it's
says
still
it
giving
can't
you.
have more than 255 characters. So yeah, it doesn't like that. Get out of there. Column setting, edit. Yeah, so I've got multiple lines of text.
Expand the more options.
That's all I've got. Single line, multiple line.
No, like down below.
Oh, okay, down here.
Yeah,
Allow unlimited length.
try it.
Okay, let's try it. Okay, it was okay with that. So then, yeah, you're thinking maybe now go in and edit this flow, the compose action, which I'm gonna go ahead and pull that crap out because I don't want to do the image source now. Okay, now I can get rid of that extra apply to each that it added. So maybe in here, then we do the embed code like that,
We can try it.
and then do like this BR just to put like a space around it. Okay, let's try it. Yeah, like you said, this is the fun part of doing these things live is we can, we can just see if things work. All right, so we're gonna send the notification like that. We're gonna delete this email. I've got a new Teams chat message. Congratulations, there's a new thing. Enjoy. And it doesn't have it in there. No, it doesn't have it in the email either. Okay. I guess we can see in here, what did it look like when we ran it? Apply to each. Oh, wait. Okay, so the compose message was, and then it's got iframe. Iframe source is this /iframe. I would have thought that would have worked because it's the whole text is there. Stream web app, refer scenario. It's got a height and a width, scrolling, allow full screen. It's got a title on it. Maybe email and Teams chat doesn't support iframes. I guess. Because yeah, there's just like a space where it would have been. Are you researching over there, Andy?
I am. I'm just
Nice.
looking to see if there's nuance to the markdown that you need to add with the referencing iframe.
Yeah, if you can just slap an iframe in an email. I guess, why don't we test this? Why don't we send an email to myself and just slap that in there? How do I get to like the HTML editor in here? Insert. Isn't there like an insert HTML? No. Where's that at? How to send an HTML email. The gear shaped icon, scroll down, show full settings. Yeah, I thought there was a way to like get into the message format and just see the HTML so you could slap it in there. I mean, this is all just Outlook for the browser or for desktop. Apps. Format text. Clear formatting. Let's see here. Options. It's the editor, Microsoft Editor. Switch to plain text. Yeah, whatever. I don't think I can do this as like a code snippet back to the flow bot or something, can I? Insert code. That's just going to be plain text. Yeah, it's not going to actually render it. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm further than I was, because I've got a congratulations, you can watch it and then watch now. I
Right.
guess one thing that we could do here is instead of just saying watch now, we could at least put the title of the thing, right? So instead of watch now, I'll have the title. That way it's got something in there.
So a quick search of the
Okay,
Power
that
Automate
was-
community says that
I did that
iframes are
wrong.
not supported in Outlook messaging. It's an unsupported HTML element. So
Okay.
yeah, we wouldn't be able to use the iframe embed code unless they've updated that. But this is in the
Okay.
Power Automate community, so
That would have
we'd
been cool.
Yeah, so you probably have to do the thumbnail version of it. Drop the thumbnail
Mm-hmm.
in.
Yeah. Which would make it more visual, it should be kind of cool. All right, I'm gonna get the title and the description and try to like slap those in there at least. This one, I don't know if I went to the effort of having a description, so let's open that up in Stream. Let's add a description field and see what that does for us. So here is my super cool video description. I'm going to make this like italics and this bold and that underline just to see if it does rich text formatting. Okay. So we've got all of that. Let's go over here and save it and let's rerun it. Okay. So we got that Teams Tip Tuesday notifier. Okay. So I've run it. I've closed my email. I'm like getting so many things up on my screen. You have a new Teams Tip Tuesday. Congratulations. Enjoy. Well, wait. The video, the title's gone, but it did put the description, so that's cool. Okay, so I've messed up my stuff. Let's see here. That should work. It's the title of the video. Title. Modified by title. I mean, I guess we could do like just the file name instead or something. Modified display name. Here we go. File name of the video. It is the same for me. Let's run it again here. Okay.
I posted an article in the chat.
In the chat. Okay.
Yeah, so 2 places. So I posted one in the chat. This is how you add images to email messages, and it's the detailed breakdown. It's specific to Power Automate. It talks about the HTML version, and then also the version that uses an image with base64, which is clipped for readability, and it adds an alt image attribute to it. So I put that in the chat window for people to play with, and then I sent you the breakdown of the code. in our private chat, so you can see it. There's three
Okay.
messages there. The first is a image source. That's the beginning of it. Then we insert the dynamic content, which is the file path to the item, and then the last is the alt
Okay.
image. So where we need to know, like the
Should I
thumbnail
try
needs to
doing
be
that then? You think?
the
There we
insert
go. I've
dynamic.
got that back at least. That's cool. And I've got the description.
So wrong article. Let me bring over the actual article up
So
on
you're
the screen.
talking, I need to add copy. I need to add that. Then
This is the article I'm
dynamic
referring
content.
to. And
Okay.
specifically, we're going to be working with this right here. So we'll bring you back up on the screen.
Okay. So is this what you were saying? So image source, data image, JPEG base 64, then the thumbnail, and then the alt.
Yep, we can try that.
That's it, right? Okay. Yeah, let's try it. See what happens. All right. Come on. There we go. Let's automate it. TeamStep notifier. Run flow. Let's delete these other emails. It's cleaned up. Nope. It messed it all up again.
Okay. So basically, and we're going to hit the top of the hour before we get to the explanation.
Yeah.
But when you add that particular action, there you're going to have to use a you're going to have to get the content of the thing, so or the path to the thing. So we get file content using path. We can do that through dynamic lookups, and then we can find the path to the thing. The thumbnail in the list or associated with the video. That snippet will get you started on that. But for those that are joining us that are live, that message is in the chat window. You can see the example there, and without getting hands-on with what you got on the screen there, to the actual path to the item, I can't show it, but it does work. I've used it for a bunch of other stuff. This is why I say it's a pain, because you have to do image source equals, and then you have to go and get the path to the item dynamically, and then you have to end it, call it in the compose, and then reference it down below.
Yeah. So I have an idea. I'm going to save these out, and then I'm going to put them in a folder in OneDrive and put it in the chat for you guys. If you want to play with these flows and mess around with anything, that way it's a little bit of a takeaway for you. So I'm going to call this the notifier, and we're going to export that. So I'm going to throw them in a folder in OneDrive, and then that way you guys can take something away if you want. And mess with it, because I think this was a pretty cool thing. Back whenever I was trying this in like January, I was having lots of issues with not being able to get a clickable link in Teams. So I'm way further than that now. I've got like a better formatted thing. I think if I could figure out how to do an image like you talked about, then I think I might be golden. If not, doing like an adaptive card, right? So you've got like a big watch button, and then also a button to unsubscribe that goes to the form to unsubscribe. I think that would look super clean, because then you could have that be like a reactive card in Outlook or in Teams, and it would like be nicely laid out. I think that would look pretty cool. So
yeah, I agree.
New subscriber. Yeah, let me see what I can do, Tom, as far as like us getting the thing for you. The loop text that we've got. So let me go into my OneDrive, or the OneDrive for this test account. And let's just make a new folder, and we'll call this 365 Deep Dive Subscriber Flows. And I'm going to upload those 3 zip files for you guys. And then I'll give you a link to the folder itself. So let's throw those in. The second one. And the third one. Okay, so there's the 3 files. Now, what do you think, Andy? Can we export this out somehow?
We need to call Daryl on that one.
Right? Like, yeah, I can share a link to the page, but I can't do, you can't do external with Loop because Loop's only internal. So, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to hit print and save as PDF. I mean, it's ugly, but you know, at least that way you'll have each page as a PDF and you guys can play with it and at home. Save as PDF. There we go. And then up here, we've got a new folder, Loop. And then I'm just going to throw all those PDFs up there for you guys. So PDF, 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 PDF. Slap those in there. Cool. All right. So then now let's get you guys a link to it, and I'll put that in the chat for you. So anyone with this link can view. You can download it as well. Copy. And there you go. Yeah, Tom. Yeah, hit us up on Twitter. Twitter, or do a LinkedIn post and mention us or something if you want. And we'll see that. But hopefully you can click on that link and get all these flows and all of these the loops that we made. So sound good? If somebody wants to click on it, let me know if it works. Confirm that, then we'll be good. And I'll put that in the description, I guess, for the video too on YouTube, so you guys can play with it. But anything else to add there, Andy? We got real deep in this deep dive. But this was cool. Like, I like doing hands-on, you know?
Yeah, you threw me for a loop. I wasn't expecting the image in the body. I would have given you a heads up on that one and had an example ready to go, because that was tricky, passing it into the into the body of the email, because it's not one of the supported HTML elements. But
yeah,
we've left room for a follow-up, adaptive cards. We might just have to do a whole deep dive on just adaptive cards and what the capabilities are there.
I just don't know how to do adaptive cards at all. I've tried adaptivecards.io and I get lost real quick. So yeah, enhancing something like this with adaptive cards could be a good future topic if you guys are interested in that.
Yeah, I think that's when we circle back to.
Cool. Awesome. I'm going to run this one more time just to make sure it works for me. And then and then we'll sign off. I can start my vacation. Nope, it didn't work. So this was fun though. Connecting, run flow. Okay, that worked now. Let's check the new email. There we go. Awesome. Okay, so that's quite a bit better than it was. You've got a nice little Teams chat. You've got a flow that people can basically pick how they want to subscribe to your channel. From Teams Tip Tuesday, they can subscribe, they can unsubscribe, and they can get notifications the way they want to. I think it's pretty cool. So awesome. Well, thanks everybody for watching. We're over a little bit on our normal 2-hour thing, but that's pretty cool. Yeah, ironically, if we did a Notion workspace, yeah. I know, Tom. Cool.
Well, speaking of subscribe, don't forget to like and subscribe John's channel, my channel, user group channel. We provided those links in the chat windows.
Yep.
So I think we got some follow-up opportunity on this one, but I think it's vacation time. So this was fun. We learned a few things. Hopefully you did as well. Thanks everybody for chiming in. This is a good conversation.
Yep, good times, guys. I hope you have a great 4th of July if you're in the U.S. Hopefully a summer break. I know a lot of people in Finland right now are taking their summer breaks for like a month. Stay safe, everybody, and have a great summer. We'll talk to you in a few weeks.
See you
Bye.
in the next one.